basic selections and maybe a little bit about editing and grouping things in Adobe Illustrator. Very practical, useful things you got to know. So this is Frank, and Frank needs a little assembly, and so we're going to give him a hand with that. Let's start with the good old-fashioned selection tool. That's the black arrow at the very top of the toolbox over here, right? Right over here at the top. And the shortcut for that is the V key on your keyboard. So if you have any other tools selected and you want to quickly switch to the selection tool, you can hit the V key on the keyboard. That'll jump to the selection tool. So we're going to move Frank's hair, right? I can click on it to select it, and then, of course, I can move it anywhere I want. I'm going to hit Command-Z to undo that move. Or I can resize it, right? I can grab the corner, and if I hold down Shift, it'll size it proportionally. I'm going to hit Command-Z to undo that. Now, one thing's pretty clear here. You need to be able to see what you're doing in Illustrator, and so let's grab the zoom tool right quick. Hit the Z key on your keyboard, not Command-Z, but just Z. And that gives you the magnifying glass, right? The zoom tool. Now you can click where you want to zoom into. I can just click once, or you can click and drag in or out, right? Like you can, ooh, a little too far, right? I'm just going to zoom in like so. Now, when you're zoomed in, if you need to move yourself around, you can hold down the space bar, right? That gives you the hand tool so you can pan and kind of reposition things. There we go. I can see a little better. All right, now what's that shortcut to get back to the selection tool again? V, right? You can think of the V, it looks like an arrow, right? And so that may help you remember that. All right, so we need to move Frank's hair in place. And so if I come over to his hair piece and say I want to grab this corner of it and drag it down so it meets up with this corner, I can do that. I click and hold and drag straight down. Now you're going to notice these little magenta lines show up. Those are smart guides that can help you move things kind of and line things up, keep things kind of neat and organized. All right, now sometimes I'm going to, again, Command-Z to undo that, or Control-Z on a PC. Remember, Command is the Mac version of Control on a PC. Option is the Mac version of the Alt key on a PC. So if you ever hear me say Command without saying Control, forgive me. Same thing if I say Option without saying Alt. Just know that those are equivalents between the two platforms. All right, where was I? Okay, so sometimes you really need to move things with precision, and one way to do that is to enter the outline view. So if you go to the view menu at the top, you can see there's an outline view. And then there's like our normal view. This is view using CPU. But if I enter the outline mode, you can see the fills drop away, and I'm just left with these very precise vector objects, right? Remember, Illustrator is a vector program. All these shapes are made up with mathematics. They're very precise. So now I can really see very easily exactly the point that I need to get and exactly where I want to drag it to. And by the way, when you're in this mode, like I'm clicking on the inside of the hair, I can't get it. When you're in outline mode, you have to click on the outline in order to select something, okay? Now, you know that bounding box where you can like size things, or if you bring it to the corner, you can rotate things. Sometimes that gets in the way. If you want to get rid of the bounding box temporarily, you can go to the View menu, and somewhere in this long list of things, here it is, Hide Bounding Box. The shortcut for that is Command-Shift-B. Okay, so now I've hidden that bounding box so it doesn't get in my way. So now I'm just left with points and paths. Again, that's what vector objects are made of. Anchor points and the paths in between them. I'm going to click on this anchor point again and drag it down until it's right in place. Okay. And so again, the shortcut for the outline view is Command or Control Y. See that? Now I've exited that view, and I can see my shapes and their fills again. Okay. All right. So let's take a look at editing a shape, not just selecting and moving it, but what if we want to change Frank's hairstyle? Well, there's a tool over here below the black arrow, the selection tool. There is the direct selection tool. The shortcut for it is the A key on the keyboard, right? And I've clicked off of the shape to deselect it. If I switch now by clicking the A key on the keyboard to the direct selection tool, I can come right to that anchor point on Frank's hair and click and drag it. And now I'm editing the shape. See that? Oops. We'll give Frank a bit of an emo haircut, right? All right. So you get the idea. Those little anchor points and paths can be selected. Like here, there's no anchor point here. I can grab a path and move the path if I want to. Okay. So that's how you edit kind of individual parts of a shape to modify them and make them your own. Okay. So you can start with real simple shapes and then quickly edit them into more sophisticated, more complex shapes, simply by using the direct selection tool instead of the regular selection tool. Okay, so now that we've coiffed Frank, let's turn our attention to his facial features. So, by the way, Command and the plus key zooms in. Command and the minus key will zoom out for you. Another way to zoom in and out, other than the zoom tool and those shortcuts, Command plus, Command minus, is Command 0. Command 0 will zoom to fit the entire image, the entire artboard, so that you can see the whole thing very quickly. It's very handy. All right, you can also save a zoom view. Like in the View menu, I've actually gone in and zoomed in on certain parts of the document, and now I can go like right here to the face view, right? I can see everything. And here's the hair view. And here is the eyes, nose, and mouth view. Okay, all of that's done. If you go to the View menu, you can choose New View, like zoom in where you want, choose New View, give it a name, and then you'll be able to select that view if you need to get back to that particular zoom area very quickly. All right, so we're going to select Frank's eyes. Now, Frank's eyes are made up of different objects. I'm going to hit the V key to get back to the selection tool now. Like he's got an eyelid here, and an iris, and a cornea, and eyelash. I guess it's one eyelash. all the way across. So several parts that make up one object. And so if you need to, you can shift select things. Like if I click on the iris first, and then I hold down shift, I can click on the cornea, shift click the eyelash, and shift click the eyelid. Now they're all selected, and they will move together, right? So let me switch back to my face view here. All right, so now that they're all selected, I'm going to click on this and drag it up here into place. Great. That's exciting. All right, so let me go back now. Here's eye number 2. Now, here's another way to make a selection of several objects at once. It's a marquee selection. You take that same selection tool, click and drag a window, a selection window of sorts, it's called a marquee, over several objects. In fact, you don't have to encompass all of them as long as that box that you're dragging touches those shapes. They'll be included in the selection. All right, now I'm thinking ahead, and I want this group to stay together. I don't want to have to reselect like this again. So what I'm going to do is group them. All right, so Object, Group. There we go. Now it's grouped. So if I click off of it and click back on, I don't get just a single shape. I get all of them. All right. Now we're going to move that up into place. Okay, so now you might be thinking, well, what about this guy? It's still individual shapes, right? Those individual shapes, let's say, you know, I want to select those now and turn them into a group. All right, so I could shift select them all again, or I could try to drag my marquee. Right, now you see I'm starting out over here outside of the face. If I click and drag, I can select all of the parts of that eye, but I'm also getting the face and the hair because that marquee is dragging through it. If I were to try to create a selection by starting inside the face, it thinks I want to click on the face and move it. So that doesn't work either. All right, check this out. If something is getting in the way of you making the selection that you want, you can lock it. So right now the face and the hair are getting in the way. So I'm going to select both of those, shift click both of them to select them both. All right, and so if you go to the object menu, you can lock the selection. What's the shortcut for that? It's Command 2 or Control 2 on a PC. All right, so I'm going to do that. I've got them both selected, Command 2. Now they are locked, and I can click and drag without selecting them and get the parts of the eye that I want. Okay. All right. So what's the shortcut to group things? Command or Control G. Now those parts to that eye are also grouped. Now later on, if I want to, modify the face or the hair and change them again, I'm going to have to unlock them. And when you do that, again, Object, Unlock All. You can't just, because I can't select the hair and the face, I have to unlock everything in order to unlock just those two. So that's how it works. And that's Command Option 2 or Control Alt 2 on a PC. So now they're unlocked, and I have access to them again. And this is now a group. All right. So let's say I want to change the color of this eye in this group, right? So if I click on the iris and I come over here and I try to fill it with a color, it fills everything because it's part of a group. It's thinking I want to change the color of everything in the group. Command Z to undo. Well, that's where our handy direct select tool comes in again. A, again, is the shortcut. I'm going to click off to deselect. Now, if I've got the direct select tool, the white arrow, I can click on part of a group to select it and then give it the fill that I want. Okay. Now, I'm going to switch back to the regular selection tool. V is the shortcut. If I select this other eye, remember it's a group also. There's another way to edit groups, and that's in the isolation mode. So if I were to double click this eye, everything else in the image kind of grays out and it focuses on that group that I've just double clicked. That allows me now to select just the iris, and I can give that a fill. And when I'm done editing that group in isolation mode, I can double click off of it to exit the isolation mode. Pretty cool, huh? All right, so let me zoom back out here. So we're going to move the rest of the features in place now. And like one thing I want to show you, if you're selecting things, like the nose, the two parts to the nose are the only things that don't have a fill. They don't have a white fill. So if I select, this line, I can come up here to the select menu. There's a whole menu about selecting things. And I can select the same, fill, and stroke. And because they are the only two things that don't have a fill, it recognizes that and selects the other one. Now, of course, it'd be easier to just click and drag like this, but I just wanted to show you can select similar things. Sometimes that's helpful with a more complex image. All right. There we go. Two parts of the mouth. Click both. Oh, I missed. Let me select. With the marquee. There we go. Ears. I can shift click both of those. Move them up. It's kind of like Mr. Potato Head. Let's grab the neck. All right, now, once again, look at the two bolts. They both have a unique color. If I were to click on one, and I've actually grouped those ahead of time. Let me zoom in here. So if I select one group that has a particular fill, again, I can select same fill color. And the other one is selected now. All right, let me zoom back out here. All right, now let's say I want to align the bolts so that they're side by side. I can click one of those groups. I can shift click the other. If you look over here in your properties panel over here on the side, one of the things that's going to show up when you have the selection tool active, there's a whole group here called align, right? You see that? And so I can align things, so that they're horizontally aligned to the left. It's actually aligning them to the page, to the artboard, instead of through the selection. You can align to the artboard, say to the middle of the page, or to a key object, or just to the selection. That's where I'm going to start with. Okay, so if I've got them both selected, I can align them horizontally. They're behind the neck, though. I'm going to hit Command Z to undo that. I want to align them like this. Vertical align centers. Boom. See that? So you can take multiple elements that you've selected and align them and distribute them in ways so that they're nice and even. All right, so You could take some time, click on the different parts of Frank's face and give him a fill, give him a color. You know what it's like when you're confronted with a blank canvas. All right. So those are some basic selection techniques. Get in there. You can download this file and try playing around with Frank yourself. Manipulate him, modify him, do whatever you want. Like, have fun, explore, and learn some of these tools, okay? I hope you had some fun. I did. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Take care.